It is time for your favorite Android podcast from the crew of blindandroidusers.com. Kick back, relax, and enjoy another fine episode from these Google fanboys and gals as they navigate Android from a blindness perspective. And now, here are your hosts.
Hello and welcome to episode 117 of the Blind Android Users Podcast. I'm Ed Green and I'm joined this week by Warren Carr, Austin Pinto, John Dyer, Doug Cameron, Fee Dunn and Salih Kunders. And we're joined by a special guest, Angela, for her Android journey. And I'm coming to you on Saturday, March the 4th, 2023. This week we have our usual announcement section. Our main spotlight section will be talking about the MWC2023 conference and all the exciting innovations from there. We have a listener question which we answer. And as I said earlier, we have our Android Journey segment from Angela. How are we all doing, folks? Austin, what's going on?
The climate has become very unpredictable. Sometimes it's very hot, sometimes it looks like it's going to pour down. So it's, I don't know. It's very mixed weather. The weather can't make up its mind what to do.
Well, I hope you don't get too wet if it does rain. Doug, what's happening?
Yeah, not too much. I mean, Mother Nature's just, confused. We're fluctuating kind of like Austin, but in our case, we're melting to freezing. So we have pretty much skating rinks all across the city right now.
Oh, sounds lively for getting out and about. Warren?
Oh, it's so much fun.
So we are doing well here too. And we had that snow that closed schools and caused some school delays and all of that. But we're glad that it's over. I mean, it's melting out there. And but boy, the wind is what makes it really bad. But besides that, everything else is going on good. And then I'm a little bit ashamed, but I will be taking out my Christmas tree finally today. Usually we take those things out like maybe by the 2nd of January or at the most January 5. But I can't believe that we still have that. It's the 4th of March and that tree is as dry as a dog bone. And so I'll be taking that out today when we get done with the episode, and I'm not gonna throw it on the fire like I did last summer, and I got scared.
Wowzers! Like, are you living on Mercury or something? How long does it take a day to? How long does it take the planet to orbit around the sun? If March the 4th is still 12th night.
I know it was a 12-day Christmas, and it turned into I don't know what it is, but yeah. But we actually like it because it has those lights on there still. And so I'll have to have the kids take off the lights and then I'll drag it out, throw it out.
One time when I was a kid, my parents left it up until like July and then they were starting to take it back, take it down. I was like, Mom, we're over halfway there. Just leave it up.
Was that a real tree or just
no? Not real. It was
we always get the real trees every year. So this is a real tree and it's so dry.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah.
And the other thing as well, if you're suffering from wind, I would just advise you not to eat so many tin baked beans. I'll stop it. Just a little tip.
Yeah.
John Boy, you picked up the talking stick. How are you? How's Virginia?
It's good. Today is pretty much perfect. Sunny, 65, nice breeze. I have the windows open, so it's a good day here.
Yeah. And does your other half know that you think Virginia is perfect? Will she have something to say about that? Will she think you're straying?
She would agree with me.
Okay. It's good that you have such an open viewpoint.
I agree. It's fun.
Yeah. iPhoner?
London is a bit chilly. We've had some sunshine, but it's a bit chilly. And we might get some snow somewhere during this next week, but we're not sure if it's in London or it's probably going to be in up north somewhere. But yeah, it's a bit cold.
Salih, what's going on?
Well, it's raining cats and dogs here in Istanbul. It's like 7 degrees Celsius right now. And apart from that, I gotta say that tomorrow is our first anniversary of accessible Android. So it's almost 1 year that we started kicking things off, and you know how the time goes by.
That's cool. Then we're bookending the first year of the podcast. And how are the Yanak?
Well, it's so good. It's going so well. I mean, we are working so hard, and especially for the app side, since we collaborated with blind Android users, we are revamping the app, and it's going to be available very soon, I hope. And yeah, thanks everyone supporting us. We see great reactions from the people all over the world for this merging, and I'm really happy for this. I wasn't expecting this big numbers, honestly, so it's going pretty well. I'm so happy for this.
Good. And Angela, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Yeah, I'm well, thank you. We got your Android journey, but do chip in on any of the other items if you want to.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, that'll be fun.
Cool. Well, let's then turn to our announcement section. Austin, what have you got for us this week?
So this week, for first things about the partnership and all, we have got a huge donation. I was shocked actually. One day I just woke up and got an email that we have got about $200 donations. Then after that we got $40 donations. But that is a huge support. So thanks to all our listeners. We never request for donations, but this time we required and we got that donation. The next announcement is about the partnership itself. There is some changes on our home screen and also on accessible home screen. So you can join our mailing list or subscribe our mailing list directly from our home screen by just entering your email and clicking on the I'm a Human box and then subscribe. The other two announcements are a gift to the podcasters. So Google is holding us a survey for those who are low vision, those who use any camera doorbell and live in the San Francisco Bay Area, want to do an in-person survey with Google in the Mountain View area of US. And the next survey is for totally visually challenged living in the same area and want to do it in two places, our office. That survey is about Lookout. If you use Lookout or don't use Lookout, you can take part. And unfortunately, this survey, the second survey, is only for Android users. So go Android party, go and get some gifts from Google. So that is the announcements.
I do want to add here, most especially to the people that donated to us. Guys, we cannot thank you enough, frankly, because we were actually coming up against some finances for renewing websites and renewing these other subscriptions and all of that. And this couldn't have come at a better time. And we want to sincerely thank you guys for such wonderful gift. And whoever you are, I know you didn't reveal yourself to us, but we want to thank you so much for helping us out. And we are so thankful. Thank you so much for making what we're doing become reality, because it's gifts like this that kind of encourages us to keep going. And most especially when we think that we're coming up against hard times and something like this comes along, I cannot tell you how thankful we are. Thank you so much. And as Austin said about those two surveys from Google, so one is for Lookout. If you're a Lookout user or have not used Lookout, but you want to try it, you can go to either the San Francisco area office or to the Mountain View area. And if you're doing the one for the doorbell, whether you're using Nest, Ring, or whatever camera app that you use for catching things at the door, then that one you need to appear in person at just the Mountain View office. And that's what it is. And please, guys, do that so that you help us make Lookout better and also accessing our doorbells better, because this is going to help us. And if you have some dexterity issues, they're looking for you as well. So whether you're low vision, blind, or have some dexterity issues, these are the people that they are looking for. And we really appreciate you guys participating, because you're helping in shaping these apps for us. Thank you so much.
And the donations will not only go for the website and all, it will also go for the app. So last week I announced that the app was $20, but actually this is bigger than a standard bug fix. This is a whole revamp of the app. So there's going to be an English app called Accessible Android. So that will cost $40. So that donation will go there. The remaining donations will go for renewing various things that we have to renew, let's say Acast Plus and all. So it will go for that.
Let me say that for the app, we are working on it, and you're gonna see very soon the app is available on Play Store. It's already available on Play Store, but the interface is in Turkish for now. It's gonna be completely in English, and it will be right in your fingertips. And of course, for our website, accessibleandroid.org, we are waiting for your support. We are waiting for your contents that you think that could be useful for everyone. If you want to have something, if you got an app that you think that's useful, if you have any tip that you like to share with us, that's going to be so helpful for everyone, and we will be sure to include in that website.
Thanks very much. My only thing on the Google surveys, the one where you have to appear in person, I wonder if you have to ring the doorbell to get into the Mountain View office in the first place.
Well, I think you have to ring that doorbell, right, Ed, to make
I
it
hope so.
fair.
I hope there is a doorbell you have to ring. I would be disappointed otherwise.
And by the way, if you do your compensation for the doorbell thing, is a $200 compensation, and the lookout is $240.
Nice. Now we turn to our spotlight event, and it is MWC 2023. So let's have a look at what was unveiled at this conference. Warren, do you want to kick off?
I would love to. And MWC is that Mobile World Congress. It's that time of year again. It was just like yesterday we were talking about CES, and now here we are talking about MWC, something that is a very important thing when it comes to those of us that, are in the mobile world and like different phones. And it's not just mobile phones, but you have other technologies there. But the focus, though, is on that mobile phones. And so it just concluded in Barcelona, Spain, and so many different manufacturers were there. Thank God, COVID is over and people are now back in person. It's a wonderful experience. So for me, there are a couple of things that kind of got my attention, and we're talking about the phones. And the first phone, even though it's not a household name, well, it is a household name, Nokia, back in the day. But they're doing good. They're up there. But the G22 is what I'm talking about. And when I read about the G22, it kind of reminds me of the Fairphone from that, where are they from? I think Dutch, right? Netherlands, I believe it is. The Fairphone, in other words, is a phone that you can replace the parts by yourself, or you can fix it yourself. So they partner with iFixit to make sure that you can take off the screen, although it involves like 39, whatever steps or whatever, but you're not going to be using any hot glue guns to melt the glue and all of that. I'm not sure that it may be something easier for those of us who are visually impaired, but at least maybe if you have a friend who's technically inclined, they might be able to help you do that without need of taking it to somewhere. And so I'm glad to see that. But for specs, though, people like to hear about specs and things like that. And let me grab the specs of that phone. So the specifications of this G22 are as follows. So the chip in this thing is called Unisoc, UNISOC. T606. And then when it comes to display, it's a 6.52 inch. When it comes to memory, it has 4 GB. So this is not a flagship phone. This is a mid-ranger or whatever you want to call it. And it has a 64 gig of storage and supports SD card up to like 2 TB. So for the main camera on the back, now it's a 50 megapixels main camera there, 1.8. And then the secondary rear camera here is a 2 MP macro. And then there's also another 2 MP depth sensor camera. So it has 3 on the back, and that's what it has. For battery, though, I think for me, this is probably where it shines the most, is 5,050 milliamp battery for that battery that it has. And for charging, though, it's not a fast charging thing either, but at least you have up to 2 years of OS update and 3 years of security. And so it's Nokia, and as to whether or not they do that, that remains to be seen. And it has, the fingerprint built into the power. And so Ed may like that because his Sony used to have something like that. So I think that's a good thing. Then for connectivity, it has a Bluetooth 5.0, it has NFC, and then it has that 3.5 millimeter headphone jack for those that would like to be able to use it. And I think that thing is a good one. And it's priced at $179. So this is less cheaper than the Fairphone that's almost $600. So if you're looking for something this easy, that might be a phone to get for someone who's probably just getting started, or a kid, or as a backup phone if you're going camping somewhere. It may be a good phone to have given that massive battery. That's my Nokia.
So what Warren was saying, let me just explain more for the listeners. Especially Unisoc chips are more in the Chinese phone. So for the listeners never experienced Unisoc chip, which even I have not experienced, but this chip is used for the real budget phones and the entry level phones. So all the reasons that Warren said that you should get this phone really apply. And the battery life of this chip, it depends. Older Unisoc chips would get hot, and this is the new one, so this should give you better battery life. But Unisoc chips were never designed for fast charging.
I didn't know that, because I haven't had any experience with this type of chip. And another thing that I want to plug in there, kudos for Nokia, they want to start manufacturing all of their stuff now exclusively in Europe. And so, kudos to those guys.
Can you change the battery? Because that's a big thing I really miss with a lot of phones now.
So you can replace the battery.
You can replace.
It's just there's a little bit of a process to it. Like you have to open up the phone and you have to take a couple screws out, disconnect a ribbon cable, and so it's not something you can just swap while you're out. It's a process, but at least it's repairable. You don't like Warren mentioned earlier. You don't have to have a hairdryer to heat up the phone so the adhesive lets you pry it open or anything like that. It's just got I'm assuming it's a plastic back that you can just peel off normally, and then, so it is replaceable. I wouldn't say it's swappable.
Yeah, I don't know why they don't make it more swappable. Because if you were, for example, like Warren was saying, camping or something, it'd be really handy to, be able to swap the batteries over when one's run out and you want to put another one in, And I do miss being able to do that.
Yeah, but at least though this process is going to be easier, even for the novice to do so without sending it across, seas to some so-called specialist to help you do it. So we're getting I like the idea, but I kind of understand where you're coming from as well. If it were just a swappable one, like John says, so if I have one in my pocket, all that needs to happen is for me to take that one out, whoop this one out, and I'm ready to go. But this is a little bit more involved, but at least we are there somehow. And I think that most important word here is that repairability is what people want to, self-repair is what people are looking for. And so it's good to see Nokia actually going down this road.
Yeah, and there were 4 things they said that were repairable. I don't remember what they all were, but I know the USB-C port was one of them. So if like you're charging your phone and you like hit the cord on something and it breaks your charging port, it's something you can actually replace yourself. You can just buy the part and replace it. And I don't remember what the other 2 things are, but I think there were 4 parts they said are easily replaceable.
So the 4 are the battery, the USB port, the screen, and there were 4. I don't remember the 4. Maybe it's the headphone jack. I don't know, but
Yeah, that
there are
would make
definitely
sense.
4 of them.
It's quite nice that it's got a headphone jack, isn't it? Because that's another thing I miss, on phones.
Yeah.
That used to be nice.
A lot of phones
but the-
don't have headphone jacks anymore.
No, I mean you can plug in a USB-C one, but you can't just plug in your normal headphones without an adapter, and that's kind of annoying. So that's a nice feature. And I'm guessing it doesn't have wireless charging, this Nokia, because it only seems to be the more expensive phones that have that, isn't it, usually?
Yeah, because most
Yeah.
phones in this price range don't. For example, if you look at all the A series of Google or Samsung, for example, they don't have wireless charging. And so it's not something that would be expected from this type of phone. And so you want to get that headphone jack, so you just go to that $1 store, the dollar store, and buy a headphone, and you are good to go. That's what you're looking for, right, my dear?
No, I don't get quite such cheap headphones as $1. No, because
Well,
we used to have a shop.
I'm just saying though, in the event that my headset broke. So I'll
Yeah.
give you an example. I have a headset. 2 of my headsets broke back to back. I don't know what happened. The hinge just broke. But one of them is a wired headphone.
Hinge? Wait,
Yeah.
what headsets are you using with hinges on? What are you talking? I
Well,
think you're
they have,
unhinged.
the foldable ones. They have hinges, so you can
Right.
fold them.
Okay.
Yeah.
They're
So
really amazing for keeping them comfortable and lightweight in your pocket in a small space. I love hinged headphones.
Exactly. So
your headphones became unhinged.
it became unhinged. And it broke. So 2 of them, for that matter. I don't know what I did, but thank God I have a bunch of others. But the other one that really pained me is a wired headphone, because I use that when I'm using things on or doing things on my mixer. It's my Panasonic headset. I really like that. Nice, very, very nice, sturdy headphone, and I've had it for quite a while. And I went to put it on, and it just came apart. So I could run to the $1 store and grab a cheap headset if I was on the road and use it, right? That's what you're talking about.
Warren, there's a pattern here about all these headsets breaking, isn't there? It's you. You broke stuff. I'm never lending you a headset if you come over here.
I broke 2. One is a Bluetooth, and it's my favorite too. For I've had that for maybe like 3 years. I really liked it. It was a cheap headset, but it performs more than its price. And finally had to say goodbye to that thing. I tried to look it up on Amazon. I couldn't find it anymore. So what a shame.
Oh,
Yeah.
That is a shame.
What else attracted your attention apart from the Nokia G22?
You guys in Europe, you guys always have the good stuff. We don't, or if you're in India. But The Honor Magic Pro 5 is another one. So I'm kind of a little bit thinking, hey, Honor used to be part of Huawei. You guys used to have those phones in your area, especially in Europe and in India. But the Honor 5 Pro is another one that is now going global. And this global, of course, does not include us here in the States. But it's a great phone. Reading about it, it sounds like a really very good phone. The thing is that it's not going to be here, but it's kind of like running that Snapdragon Gen 8.2, and so it's giving Samsung a run for its moolah here. Display is 6.8 inch, and then 120 hertz of refresh rate. And for RAM, it's kind of really have a beefy RAM there.
Yeah, it's got 12 gigabytes
Yeah,
of
it's
RAM and
12.
512 gigabytes of
So,
storage.
John, I think that's right up there with your
Yeah,
Ultra,
that's
isn't it?
exactly what my Ultra has. Yeah, and it has like the latest, fastest like storage type and all that too. It's a
Yeah.
very premium phone.
It has that same UFS
And-
4.0 like Samsung has.
Yeah, and because they separated it from Huawei and made it its own company, we get to have the Play Store on it. So it's a full functioning Android phone, which is nice.
So Ed, you may want to get that for the podcast to review it, and if I like it, then I'm gonna send you moolah to get me one. And it has a 5100 milliamp battery. How much does the Samsung one have? John, you remember?
I think it's like 48 something. They call it 5,000, but it's not 5,000.
Well, I'll be.
And does it
And-
have a wireless charging, and does it have a memory card slot?
No, it does not mention anything about a memory card. It seems like a lot of them are kind of not
They're not
wanting
doing
to
that.
do that, most especially when they're flagship phones. They take that
Yeah.
away for some reason. You would think that if you're getting a flagship phone that you're paying so much money for, that actually you'll have all the whistles and bells there. But no, instead, we're not going to give you that. Instead, we'll give it to you on a low budget phone instead. It's very I think it's got turnaround.
What about wireless charging? Does it have that?
And it does support wireless charging as well.
Pardon? It does.
It does support wireless charging at 50 watts.
Yes, it does.
quick.
Yeah, I'm looking
Pretty
at
quick.
it now. Yeah, it does 50. And that's really good for a phone to have a 50-watt, charging wireless. That's really
It
good.
is.
Yeah.
It's really good.
I don't
There are a
know
lot of
if
phones that
people
don't have
have-
wired charging at
Yeah.
50 watts.
That's
Exactly.
twice what
But-
Apple does at wired charging.
Yeah, I
But
know.
for that to work, would you have to have a special wireless charger? Because
Yes.
Yeah, for sure.
Not
You need the-
necessarily
you need the,
proprietary one,
the
although you
Honor
might. But you
Supercharge.
would need your bog standard one probably wouldn't work.
Yeah.
it might work, but it wouldn't be 50 watts, would it?
Yeah, but I wouldn't want to chance that,
No,
frankly.
it could.
Yeah.
It's not a very good idea. Yeah.
The cameras on the back, they're all like 50 megapixels, like for the
50.
Yeah, I mean 50 megapixels for the main camera, for the telesensor, and for the wide angle. They're all equal, unlike others that will say, oh, the angle one would be like 8 megapixels or whatever. I like them being equal. So it's really nice to see that.
And it was 50 and not 15. Wow.
Yeah, no, 50, yeah.
Blimey. That's
Yeah.
quite.
Not to brag or anything, but my phone has a 200 megapixel camera.
Yeah.
You're totally bragging.
The
You are
Samsung-
100% bragging there, John. Just putting it out there. But
Well,
I mean,
wow.
it is Samsung. It is the best.
Well, it is trying to compete with Samsung, right? So John has to rub it in. Okay, you guys have 50, I have 200. How about
Yeah,
that?
but The thing about this, the sensor on this one, even though it's only 50, it's like a 1-inch sensor. I think this is the phone that had the 1-inch sensor. I hope I'm not
It is the
confusing
one
with
with
any.
the 1-inch sensor.
Yeah, so it
the one
actually
from Sony.
it does
So
take
it's
better
really
quality
good.
photos,
Better,
although
yeah.
it's not technically as high of a resolution.
Yeah. And this is IP68 rated, in case you want to take it into that swimming pool fee.
Not really.
No.
No.
Well, I think you and I don't like taking stuff into water. I wouldn't, deliberately want to take my phone into water. Some people want to. I will never do that. I'm sorry.
You can
Well,
take
I
a
had
phone to
my
water,
phone.
but you can't make it drink.
Oh dear. I had my phone on the side in the bathroom once before they became waterproof-ish, sort of, and it landed in the bath, and I was very sad because I had to get it replaced. Because it vibrated itself off the shelf and landed, jumped over the laundry basket, landed in the bath.
That was a strong vibration.
It was. I was like, oh no, this is bad. And it was playing music, and then it wasn't.
Was it still working after you picked it up?
No, no, not at all. But you see, this was in the old days before phones were waterproof-ish. But since then, I've accidentally tested out the credentials of that with newer phones by throwing a glass of water all over my phone and then drying it off, and it was working fine after that. But I wouldn't recommend doing it, lots of times on purpose. That's not a very good thing to do.
No, it's not. And it does have a 3D, talking about this Honor, has that 3D facial scanning and also fingerprint reader, of course. But so that's one of the things that I would like to try, most especially if it's something that is available to us, but it's not available to us. But I'm sure one could find it on Amazon. If one really wants to try it and just unbox it for the podcast or whatever. But that would be some of the two phones that I kind of think sound good to me.
You're not getting a bargain with the Honor 5 Pro. I mean, it's a very good phone, but you're paying a very good price for it. There's not hidden value like there used to be in Xiaomi or OnePlus. This is the 512 model is kicking in. I've only seen the euro price, but they're saying €1,200. So this is not a steal. They're not giving this away.
No, they are not.
Wow.
And talking about your Xiaomi though, Ed, that's even more expensive because that Xiaomi is even more expensive than the Samsung. I'm talking about the new Xiaomi 13. It sounds like a very good phone too, but it's not.
Yeah, I think it's 1,300.
Yeah,
13 something. Yeah.
So Ed, I
Yeah.
guess your phone is officially old now. You have the 12 Pro, right?
I have the 12T Pro. So
okay.
I have the one that kind of cut some corners but had the innards of the 12 Pro. It
Gotcha.
it cut some of the structural things.
So it's
T stand for?
technically a pro.
Huh?
It's technically a pro, hence the T.
Yeah, but you definitely don't want to take this for a swim. It's got an IP of like 53 or something. It's plastic. It's got Gorilla Glass 5 rather than Victus, so it's got it's cut some corners, but it's got 120 watt wired charging, whereas the Honor 5 Pro has 66. It charges in 20 minutes. It's fast. But yeah, John's right. It's old. The 13 is out now.
Well, wait a minute, Ed. The phone is plastic?
Plastic frame.
Okay, so from henceforth, I don't want to hear you talking about Pixel phones and throwing cold water on my Pixel phone.
No,
If you have-
Xiaomi make a proper phone, though.
If
They
the
do
cat-
make the 12 and 13 Pro. I
if
just
that
didn't buy
cat
it.
that you have, and that's a Xiaomi, the cat is a plastic phone, then from now on, I don't want to hear you talking about my Pixel phone.
No, they do make non-plastic phones though. They have perfectly respectable framed phones that I just didn't buy.
But
Like
seriously,
the non-T isn't plastic.
yeah, but seriously, the Xiaomi phones are great phones out there too. I always wish that we could have them here in the States, but I don't know what the deal is or whose bag they need to rob in order to be able to bring them here. I have no clue. We still don't have them. Of course, Amazon is the answer, but you're getting it at your own whatever, because if it doesn't work with your carrier, then you're kind of toast. But you always want to check to make sure your carrier will support the radios that they have in there. But I would love to have a Xiaomi phone, even if it's a cheapy one. But that T that they have, the T Pro, I think they didn't want to have some infringement from what's the name, OnePlus.
OnePlus.
So they put a Pro after it to distinguish them from the OnePlus.
No, there is a T that's not a Pro. So they must be happy with it, with the designation.
What about coffee?
No, there's no Coffee Pro.
Oh, I'm not interested then.
Yeah, no coffee, because maybe Chinese don't like coffee.
The weird thing about Chinese coffee, I got a coffee from a Chinese vending machine, and it came pre-sugared.
Well,
I did not like at all.
Ugh.
Yeah, no. Yeah, exactly. But if there was a 12 Coffee Pro, presumably you might be able to get it delivered instantly, which would be quite good.
Yeah. I don't like instant coffie though.
Actually,
you might not like the 12 Coffee Pro.
If I ever drink coffee, though, I like the instant. Because when I was a kid,
Philistine.
When I was a kid, my uncle gave me that, and I liked it. With a lot of milk in it.
No.
Yeah, I had it when I was a kid, and then I grew up.
Exactly.
You grew up? When did that happen?
So, in other words, I haven't grown up.
In terms of coffee, I grew up.
Okay, but in other aspects, you haven't grown up yet. Is that what you're saying?
Not really. Not much, no.
Well, I'll be.
Nah. But
it wouldn't be fair if you're grown up, right?
It wouldn't. It wouldn't. No.
Beautiful.
So wasn't there a phone? Wasn't there a phone which you could charge in 5 minutes or something at this
proof of concept phone? Yeah, there was
the Realme.
So, well, Realme,
the Xiaomi.
The Realme phone is a 240 watt charger, and that's an actual phone that they're releasing, and it can charge in under 10 minutes.
Wow.
But then Redmi showed a proof of concept where they had a 300 watt charger that could charge a battery in, I think it was a 4100 milliamp hour battery to full in like less than 5 minutes.
Wow.
That is
but that's not on the
very-
phone, is it, John? That's not actually released. That's just a proof of concept thing.
Yeah. Even the 240 charger charging in less than 10 minutes, that is really scary.
That is amazing.
I think it's cool, but I think they'll probably be really expensive, won't they? Certainly at first.
No,
Yeah, well,
I doubt
they'll include it in their flagship. I don't think it'll cost any more, but you'll be buying like the $1,000 phone, to get this.
Yeah.
They're not going to put it in their lower end phones or mid range phones.
No.
What
that's
do we
what
think
I mean.
this does to battery longevity if you're charging a battery that quickly? Does it affect it? Or should we be worried about that?
They claim it doesn't. They say after 4 years of normal use, it'll still have 80%.
How do they know? Have they been testing it for 4 years?
Yeah, they tested it in a lab.
Well, they have to charge it and
Yeah, they charge it
and discharge and discharge. How many times, and I think they can then simulate that. So, but that's really good because, like Ed and I usually say, if you have a great phone, but if the battery is not there, it's useless. So, even if you have 6 years of OS updates and your battery can only last a couple of years, it's no bueno.
Yeah, I think if I had one of these phones, I would charge it at normal rates overnight, But then it would be nice if I needed it. Like if I realized my battery is at 10%, just plug it in for 10 minutes and have a full battery. That'd be awesome.
I seriously love the under half an hour charge. Like I use it all the time. I was like, I need to go to work. I need to get up. So let's just charge this.
Yeah, I wouldn't bother charging it overnight if I could do that.
Yeah,
Just
that's a good point.
I don't.
Just sit it on your nightstand and then You know, when you wake up, get ready, just plug it in. By the time you're ready, it's fully
Yeah,
charged.
Done. That would be
That's
so
funny.
cool. I'd love
Yeah.
that.
Yeah,
You know,
it's like
the
I
only
bought
thing-
it, I paid for it, I might as well, use
Yeah.
it.
The question I would
Exactly.
have though is how hot do those batteries get as they're
I was
charging at such a
wondering.
speed?
I was thinking about that actually. Yeah.
So mine doesn't at all. Like my Sony gets hotter when it does its slow charge than my Xiaomi, which does in under half an hour. I don't know about the 10-minute one, obviously I've not seen it, but it doesn't heat up at all.
The real question we need to be asking is how many of these phones can we charge before we trip the circuit breaker? in our
Oh
phones?
man, okay, John, you need to buy like as many as you can. We need to try this.
Yeah, you're the king of unboxing, so come on, we're setting you a challenge, John.
And I'm the king of blowing breakers. So
Well,
let's try
I think
it.
a typical circuit would hold like maybe is 2,000 watts or something. So we need like 6 or 7 of these phones.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah, but
Bob Dylan wrote a song about it, didn't he? How many phones can one man charge before the circuit breaks?
Yeah,
Why?
I
Never do
don't
that
think.
again, Ed.
Let's talk about the next thing that involves London, and
Oh yeah,
that
we should
has-
actually do something vaguely related to Android, shouldn't we? Sorry.
it has to involve
Putting
London.
stuff in relates, and we were talking about charging. It's
And this
tangential,
is not the
but it's
London
sort
Bridge falling down.
No,
No.
so now the London Bridge is not falling down, but I'm talking about the partnership that Motorola has with the Moto Defai, with that technology of that two-way satellite communication. Is a London-based. I think it's London-based or UK-based. I think it's London, but to be safe, it's UK-based company that has that thing that you can plug onto your phone, any phone, and have that satellite connectivity, whether you're using a Fruitvale or using Android. You could use that. And it's a $5 a month service, and the device costs you $99.
So what's this for? What
So
would you
if you're
actually
the
use the connectivity
if you're the
for?
adventurous type and you like to go places that you might not have cell service, then you'd be able to still send your location or send text messages from your phone if you connect it
really
through
cheap.
Bluetooth.
Yeah, you send text messages and you receive the text messages as well. And it also has its own app. So it's just a little dongle fee. I know you don't like dongles, but you
Oh, I
plug
do. I do.
you plug that dongle there, and you're good.
Do you
to go.
like big dongles, Fee?
I like all the dongles.
Do you like big thick dongles?
including the big ones?
Well, no, they might be too big. You see, it depends on I think we should move on.
Okay, Ed, we should move on.
So
From dongles.
is it this thing? Is it only text messages?
Yeah, can you ring anyone on it, or just
The
text?
satellite.
No, it's
No.
just text messages. It's very low bandwidth, the satellite technology they're using. So it's
Okay.
basically just to be able to have that
Emergency
assurance
stuff.
that
Yeah.
you'll be able to contact somebody if you need to.
Yeah, but it wouldn't do, say, WhatsApp. It won't do data.
No.
Shame, because you could
Yeah.
always cancel your cell service.
Maybe in a year or two from now, because it's just a matter of miniaturizing it, and then we have something good going on. And really,
Wait, are we
I like the idea.
Are we miniaturizing the dongle?
Yeah, we miniaturize
Mhm.
that dongle, so you're not going to have a big one, Fee.
Oh, that's a shame.
It's a shame.
Will that be
I
less
know.
satisfying for your little dongle?
Yeah, yeah, I think so. So what is it? Is it like a Bluetooth device?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, exactly. So that's what it is, and it connects via Bluetooth, really. And so it's a nice device to have. But like I said, it's $99 and then $5 a month. So unless one really, really wants to, probably one would wait till these things always go down.
I suppose if you're on a mount, if you regularly do mountaineering or something like that, it's probably worthwhile.
Yeah.
I wonder if these things work in space as well. I mean, nobody could rescue you really, but
Well, it
just-
would work because the satellite up above your head, right?
Yeah. So you.
The
So I
question
suppose
comes, Warren. Does that
you'd have to be
satellite
near
shoot
enough.
signal downwards, or does it shoot it in a 360 pattern?
That's true, because it might only go down to the Earth, in which case, that wouldn't work.
That makes
Anyway,
sense. That makes sense.
there you go. There's my idle question of the day. Does it work in space? Which no one's going to know the answer to.
Maybe NASA, but
Well, your phone
Yeah,
might
I don't
float
think we're
away
going to get
anyway,
them
but
on the
it might work, but
podcast.
there's no gravity, so you'd lose your phone.
Well, you'd have to. In space, they Velcro a lot of things down, don't they? So you'd have to make sure it was. Do we know what the size of this device is? Is it like a similar
It's a
size to a
big thick
phone?
dongle. I thought we'd been there already.
It is very small, Fee. It's very small.
How big? Do we know?
I don't remember the dimensions of it, but it's very small. It's I think like 3-inch or less, really.
oh, that's
Oh,
Oh, so
okay.
it's not sort of 8 to 12 inches then, not a big dongle.
No, it's not.
Even
So-
by average standards, it's pretty small.
Yeah.
It's very easy to lose a 3-inch dongle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, yeah,
It-
you
it-
probably would. Just put it in a pocket instead.
Man, them 3-inch pinches.
Oh.
We haven't reached anyone's terms of service.
Oh
Wait,
my gosh.
I thought we were talking about dongles here.
Exactly.
What? I'm not even gonna. No, I'm not even. No.
And fees just off in like Utterville, no biggie.
Just me? Only me? Is no one else?
No, it's all you.
Not even Virginia would be happy with a 3-inch dongle.
No.
No. So,
What was
did you
that
guys
noise?
hear about these rollable phones?
They sound freaking epically awesome. I want to see one.
So do
Yeah.
I.
So it's like a So one that Motorola showed was like got a 5-inch screen, but then it extends to be like a 5.7-inch screen or a 6.7-inch screen. So it's like you can have it be a small phone, and the screen kind of goes down the bottom and then curves around the bottom and comes up part of the back, so you can use that part of the display for like notifications and stuff if you want. But then when you like press a button, the phone actually extends, and then the display rolls kind of from around the bottom, rolls to the front of the phone, and then you have a much larger screen. So I
Can
thought
I
that
put
was
tobacco in it and smoke it?
probably. I don't know if it would keep working.
Oh
but-
boy.
I suppose if you're gonna make a rollable phone, then you would want to be in, part of the Motorola company, wouldn't you? Really?
Exactly.
I think so.
Yeah, and
What do
Lenovo
these
also.
phones? What do they look like when they're shut? When they're rolled up.
It
Then
just looks like a regular phone. It's like imagine if instead of when your screen got to the bottom of your phone, like it just curved around the bottom and went back up the top, or went
Yeah.
back up the back.
round
So it's
the
like
back. Yeah.
yeah. So the rolling actually happens inside the phone. It's not
Hmm.
anything that you do. So
No. It's almost like a dining table extension rather than a phone cigarette, isn't it?
So it's not really a
Yeah.
roll-up phone. Not really.
No, you don't-
It's
you
more
don't
of a
roll it up.
fold-up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you don't
Yeah.
want to roll up,
I mean-
that is like
I
rolling
used
a
to have a roll-up keyboard, and it was made of rubber. And it was actually, I loved the idea, but it was actually rubbish.
Did,
Like,
did it
could
roll up
smoke
to look
in
like a
that.
dongle?
No, but you could type on it pretty quietly, but it used to sometimes miss half the letters, so it wasn't very good. The
Well, that's
idea of it,
non-efficient.
it was supposed to be like waterproof and stuff, so that if people were using it, in a science lab or a operating theatre or something, it would work well. But they never really did work that brilliantly, unfortunately.
I just wanted to mention one more thing. So Honor also was showing off some new battery technology. It's a silicon carbon battery. All the batteries we use today are lithium ion, And this has a little higher of a density. I mean, it's nothing groundbreaking. I think it's like a 10% increase. So basically, you'd be able to get like a 5,500 milliamp hour battery into the size of a 5,000 milliamp hour battery. So it's a slight improvement, but anytime I read anything about new battery technology, I'm kind of intrigued because we've been stuck on lithium ion for so long. So I'm curious to see how the silicon carbon batteries, if they come to fruition, and how they tend to operate and perform.
Would that mean it was easier to make them in that, silicon is from a lot of the time is from you can get it from, well, I'd imagine it's more plentiful than lithium, isn't it?
Maybe. I would imagine
Yes.
at first, like anything, it's probably going to cost a lot more to make,
Mm.
but if it comes something
Yeah,
that's
no, what I mean is the raw materials would be more plentiful, wouldn't they, though?
I'm not sure. It's possible.
Because don't you get silicon from sand? Is that? Or am I way off there? I thought you did.
And now we have a listener question. And our listener question this week comes from Darren.
Hi there, guys. This is Darren from London. I love what you're doing with the Blind Android Users podcast. Keep up the great work. I've got kind of a question about fingerprint authentication. I'm really struggling with unlocking my phone at the moment. I've got a Pixel 6a, and it's running the latest security and feature update of Android 13, at least the main release. I'm not on any beta channels or anything like that. And basically, I'm finding that at the moment, when I put my finger on, or at least try to put my finger on the fingerprint sensor, I'm really struggling for it to recognize my finger. It works some of the time. I can usually manage to get in maybe 15-20% of the time, so perhaps one time out of 5 or 6 attempts. But it would be great if I could actually find a way of more reliably putting my finger on the sensor, because I suspect the issue is that I just can't feel the sensor, and so I'm putting my finger in the wrong place, which is why it's not recognizing my fingerprint. But I don't know. Any advice or tips? Are there any, for instance, tactile overlays I can get that will highlight the fingerprint sensor so I can feel it more easily? Or are there any settings I can change or tweak in some sort of way, maybe to increase the haptic sensitivity or something like that? I don't know. Any advice or guidance on this would be very welcome indeed. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Darren, for that great question. And John, this is something that when the Pixel 6 series was introduced, this was one of the main problems that people were having with the phone, especially that fingerprint reader, that optical fingerprint reader that Google has there is not as good as the ultrasonic ones or the regular capacitive ones, frankly. And so some of the solutions that were suggested, or some that some of us implemented that worked for us, and I know John and I have talked about this, if you could use your thumb, because then you're sure to hit that spot instead of maybe using like an index finger. But I mean, you could still use an index finger or use, any finger. But I find it to be that if I include one of my thumbs as one of the fingers that I've included, then it kind of works better in the sense that it makes it possible for me to hit that reader every time. And sometimes maybe you need to kind of press it a little bit harder or whatever. But also, there were updates that fixed that or helped with that. And so if you have not had those updates, it's time to check for those updates to see that that thing gets fixed. So you want to make sure you check for those updates, and that's one of the things that I could suggest. Or also make sure that you turn on the sensitivity in the display, especially if you happen to be using a screen protector, say a tempered glass or something to that effect. Try to do that, or retrain those fingers again, remove them and add them again, and see if it makes any difference. John, you have any comments about this?
Yeah, so I also recommend using your thumb, even if you don't navigate your phone with your thumb. It's just at least add it as one of your fingerprints because it will always fall in the same place. And not only do I recommend using your thumb, but keep in mind it doesn't have to be the very end of your thumb. Like for me, and it depends on how long your fingers are and how big your phone is and all that. But for me, I just let my thumb rest across the screen. So it's not actually the tip of my thumb that it's picking up. It's actually a little further down on my thumb, but that's the part of my thumb that naturally lies across the screen. So I use that as my fingerprint so that I'm not trying to hit a target and it's sort of always in the same place because I'm always holding my phone the same way. And he mentioned in the voicemail that asking about like a screen protector, and there are screen protectors you can get that have a cutout for the fingerprint sensor. I don't know that that would really solve your issue. It would help you to feel where it was, but eventually you would just have that muscle memory anyway. So I don't know that that would really help you in the long run. But yeah, the other thing to keep in mind is if you are using a screen protector, which I don't because it's just easier for me without one, but I know a lot of people need them. So if you do need to use a screen protector, make sure you re-register your fingerprints after you've installed it.
I use sort of the flat of my finger as well rather than the tip, because there's sort of more finger to register on it.
Yeah, exactly.
On my Samsung, I do miss it sometimes. I do, I don't quite get my finger in the right place, but it does. Yeah, I'd say mine works more like 70-80% of the time rather than, was it 20 that Darren said? Gosh. Yeah, I don't use the tip because also your nails might get in the way as well if you use the tips.
I think as well, just worth going back to basics a little bit. Your fingerprint sensor is always going to be in a straight line from your charging port. So one thing you can do, either use the thumb, as John or Warren said. I don't use my thumb, I use my index finger, and I have a high success rate. So make sure, using your thumb and, checking the underside of your finger if you want to, that your index finger is dropping somewhere in a straight line from your USB port. How high up the screen your fingerprint sensor is might vary slightly from phone to phone. I've noticed that on Samsung's, on my current Xiaomi, it's sort of towards the bottom about where the home button is. On the OnePlus, it was a little bit higher. But as John said, you'll develop a muscle memory. But make sure if you're not using your thumb and you're using your index finger, then make sure it's vaguely aligned with the USB port and drop it on the screen. As Warren said, some fingerprint sensors can be a little bit slow, so sometimes it is not so much a pressing hard, although it could be, just leave your finger on the screen for a little bit, see if it unlocks.
Another thing that can affect your fingerprint is if your finger's a little bit damp, or after a bath. I can't use my fingerprints for a few minutes after a bath because they've gone all kind of wrinkly from the bath, even if I've dried them. So, yeah, things like that can be worth bearing in mind as well.
I like my phone because the fingerprint sensor is actually on the power button, and it just makes more sense to have it there than in the screen, in my personal opinion.
Yeah, I agree. I prefer a power button, even a fingerprint sensor on the back. They just work so much better than in-screen fingerprint sensors.
So that's really interesting because I have a phone that has a fingerprint sensor in the power button, and I can see why it's easy, but I really don't like it because sometimes I want to invoke the lock screen without unlocking the phone. And what I tend to find is that I either have to make it register an incorrect finger to do that, or obviously if I put my normal finger, the phone unlocks and I kind of lose that lock screen. So it's interesting. I know a lot of people like it. I'm not a massive fan of it.
Yeah, I had my phone set to double tap on the screen to bring it up, so I'd have to like think about it. Like, am I opening my phone or am I just looking at my lock screen? And then I'd double tap on the phone. But the thing is, then to turn the screen off, I'd have to use the fingerprint sensor so it would like unlock my phone and then turn the screen off instead of just turn the screen off. So it's a little bit awkward at times.
I'm with Ed that frankly, I like capacitive fingerprint readers, but I would rather have them in the back like we used to have them. I don't want one on the power because I don't want to unlock my phone a lot of the time. I just want to be on the lock screen to look up something, and I do not want to unlock the phone. So for me, yeah, I know it sounds like a great idea, but I would rather have that one in the back instead of being on the power.
Yeah, I don't mind the back.
Yeah, I had that on my, well, I've still got it on my Samsung S9, which is my older phone now, and it is easier. But I think the power button one would still be easier than the on-screen one. But I can see what you're saying as well, Ed, about that it can be annoying too.
Yeah, because
I think
actually you have to make it fail. You have to put some other thing that you haven't registered. Just feels a bit weird.
Yeah, bit annoying.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with having those things in the back. I mean, we already have cameras back there, and I don't know why. Oh, now we're trying to make things look pretty. You have it in the back, it's looking ugly, or whatever the case is. And so we try to, hey, well, let's try putting it on the power, and then it creates a problem. So I don't know, man. I think the best solution is maybe that face unlock, that we don't even have to touch the guard for second screen or touch the back of the phone.
No. Horrible thing. No.
I don't like Face ID. I never have like Face ID.
Oh, no, I'm with you, Angela. Horrible thing. But
it's easier, even under the screen. I think fingerprints are easier. You can do it in your pocket and then tap an a pay terminal without waving your phone around in front of your face.
I think maybe they stopped having the fingerprint on the back because maybe some people were silly and they kept putting their finger on the camera lens or something. I don't know. I can't think of any other reason.
I think it's the fewer physical parts you have, the thinner the phone is.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah,
exactly. It's all about the beauty. Like I said, we're trying to make things look beautiful, slim, and whatever. That's what drives it.
Yeah. All phones just should look like me, and then they would be beauteous.
Like you,
Ed. The goal here is for phones to look, decent and like respectable.
That's what I said.
Not like you, and because we don't want phones scaring children.
They could be unshaven and hold beer cans and all sorts of things.
Or actually get better looking like me. That gets better looking every day.
You've got a face for radio.
Yeah, but the problem there,
you've got a face for
phones would lose everything in plain sight.
Well, Warren's always telling me I'm the pretty one, so actually,
exactly,
they should look like me.
Exactly, that's my
Warren's
point.
blind, though.
The problem with the phone that looked like Ed is when you were done talking on it and you took it away from your face, it would grab onto your cheek.
It would,
that's the other problem.
I wouldn't buy that
absolutely pull your cheeks.
Yeah, I wouldn't buy that. That would be like a bug in the software.
It's a feature, not a bug.
It's a bug.
It's a feature, not a bug.
It's a virus.
But that implies that Ed is like contractable. We don't want that.
No, the pulling cheeks thing is not Ed himself. That would be just too scary for words. But for anyone who's a new listener, Ed has this thing about pulling cheeks. I don't know why. I don't get it, but he does.
All I can say is, Ed, leave the ladies alone.
Yeah,
it's not just ladies. No, all cheeks get pulled. No, I'm equal opportunities when it comes.
He
to
does
cheeks.
not discriminate.
I do not.
Hey, Eddie.
But I'm saying leave the ladies alone. If you want to do it elsewhere, leave the ladies alone. That's all.
No, all cheeks get pulled. Like I'm not. It's not.
All cheeks are equal. Oh dear.
Yeah.
But Warren's only concerned about the ladies.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So basically, he's just
Moving
offered up his own cheeks. What he said is, "Pull my cheeks."
He didn't. Should we
He
move
did.
on?
He basically
Oh
did.
boy. All
Did
right.
he not, John?
I think we
Sounds
should
good,
move
Ed.
on.
It sounds good.
Onward,
Yeah.
James.
And now we move on to our Android journey section, and we are joined by Angela. Welcome, Angela. We said hello to you before, but Warren, why don't you lead us off on this one?
Thank you so much. And the reason why is the Android journey story is my most favorite part of the episodes. And every time that we get one person to come on, I'm like a kid in a candy store. And so I'm thankful that Angela, you're joining us today to talk about my most favorite part of the episode, the Android journey story. And so if you wouldn't mind, just tell us when you got started and all that kind of stuff. Tell us about that Android journey story, whether you had any problems on the way, and what your solutions were, because someone may be in that same boat and your solution may be something that become their salvation. And also let us know, if you will, where you're coming from or joining us from and things like that. So Angela, it's your turn. Let's go down the Android journey story lane.
Thank you, Warren. Hello, everybody. My name is Angela. I'm also known by Angela3011, which is my DJ name and my YouTube channel name. And sorry about the background music. My girlfriend is getting ready, and she has music on in the background, so hopefully it's not too noisy. So I started using Android just as a, just to see what it was like in 2016, I want to say. I used to have a friend who I used to go to his house, and he had an Android phone. Now, this was before I had a smartphone at all. At that point, I actually had an iPad. I was just starting out on iOS, and I had one of those dumb phones, the flip phone. I started using his phone kind of like just to play around, and he had some different games and stuff. I'm like, oh, this is so cool. In 2017, I got my first iPhone as a graduation gift from my late grandmother. I graduated from the Pride program at the Arizona Center for the Blind, and she gave me her iPhone 5, her old iPhone 5, because she upgraded, I think, to the 8. So I got her old iPhone 5, and I was playing around with iOS. By 2018, I had upgraded from the iPhone 5 to the iPhone 7. I decided I was going to add a second line to my Verizon account so that I could still keep the iPhone line active and play around with Android, because I met a friend of mine who had the Samsung Galaxy J3. So I decided to get the J3. Verizon had it, and I decided I would give it a try. It was like had the old version, like voice assistant with the really old. This was like before Samsung collaborated with Google, and it just had like the really old screen reader. And I remember I tried it. I was listening, to the YouTube channel to another story. I believe it was Will. I was listening to his story, and basically he said that his mother got him an Android phone, and basically it lasted 3 days. He lasted 3 days before going back to the iPhone. I didn't even last that long. I was so fed up with the J3 that I wanted to hurl the thing at the wall. And this was long before multi-finger gesture support. This was long before the shortcuts. You had to like do the angle gestures on the screen and all that drawing. I'm like, I can't do this. I don't know how to do this. And I was just so frustrated with it. And I'm just like, I sent a message to my girlfriend at the time, not the same girlfriend I'm with now, and it worked, and I was able to read her message, but I'm just like, this is just too much. I can't do this. I didn't last 3 days. I lasted 1 day. I went back to Verizon the next day. I said, I can't do this. I said, here's the phone. And the manager was understanding and kind enough to waive the restocking fee, which they usually don't do, but they waived it that time because I was struggling with it. And I made a promise to myself that I was never, and I mean never, ever, ever, ever going to use Android ever again. I was that adamant that I would never use Android for the rest of my life because it's horrible. And who in the name of all that's holy would recommend such a horrible system? It's awful. I hate it. I will never use it again. Went back to iOS. So this lasted probably about a year and a half. Actually, almost a year and a half. I was on an app called Dabble, which some of you might have heard of. It was for iOS, but that app I think is off the App Store. Thank God. That was just not a very nice app. It sounded fun at the time. What got me interested in Android again was a Dabble stream that I listened to of this lady. I forget her name. This was around September 2019, and she was doing a demonstration of the Google Pixel 3a. And I'm like, so I message her. I'm like, wow, this is really, really interesting, and it seems really accessible. And I'm like, maybe Android has gotten better. I said, how much was this phone? And she's like, it's about $400. This was when the 3A had come out, and I'm like, I may try Android again. So a few weeks went by, and my grandpa gave me some money to purchase a Google Pixel, and I didn't have the money to get the 3A. It was just too expensive. I didn't have that kind of money. But I got the original Pixel XL that came out in 2016. I had another friend who actually was patient with me and sat me down and taught me the basics of Android. He taught me how to better do the angle gestures. He taught me how to navigate the phone better. He basically taught me everything that there was to know about Android. I still kept my iPhone around. I had an iPhone 6S. I still kept it because I wanted to play around with Android. I wasn't ready to make it my primary driver at the moment. I'm actually really glad that I did keep my iPhone around because that Pixel XL, the motherboard died in it. And so then I went from a Pixel to a Motorola. I did the Motorola E5 Play. That was a piece of crap device. I kept having issues with it. And I've tested out some other brands as well. I've tested out a couple phones from Motorola. I currently have a Moto G Stylus 5G 2021, but that's mostly for backup. It's a good phone, but I like Samsung better. So, plus that phone's not going to get any more updates. Motorola is notorious for being slow with updates. And I also tried the LG brand. I had the LG Stylus 6. I really liked the stylus features, like to make like drawings and stuff, because I have some vision, so I like to draw pictures and stuff. But navigation was really hard. The way LG had all their settings set up, it was just not very easy to navigate the phone from my experience of it. So I quickly sold the LG Stylus 6, and I went to a Google Pixel 3. And this was in 2020. I got it on sale on Amazon for $150. and the Pixel 3 decided to die on me within a couple of months of owning it. I I've never had very reliable experiences with the Pixels. And now, I officially, as of this year, I have left the Apple world, I would say about 95%. And the reason I say 95% is because I just purchased a Mac. I actually was the one that wrote on the list about recording talkback speech, and I've just never been a Windows user. I don't care for Windows too much, but I like the Mac, so I've left the Apple world about 95%, because I still like Macs. So I'm going to be working with Android and Mac and putting them together, which should be pretty fun. Actually, now that I know of how to put them together, it'll work out great. But as far as my phone, now, current day, I did try the Samsung Galaxy S22 Ultra. I wasn't impressed. I know it has really good cameras and a really good battery and the S Pen and stuff, but it's just kind of like, I have a Moto G stylus for like a tenth of that price, and I can do the same thing. It really wasn't for me. It wasn't my cup of tea. So I upgraded to the Samsung Galaxy Z Flip 4. I actually just got this phone a couple of weeks ago, and I really love the flip phone. I like the form factor. I do wish the battery life would be a little bit better, although I used to have the Z Flip 3, and the Z Flip 4 is 3,700 milliamp hours as opposed to 3,300, so there was some upgrade there. However, I do wish that there would be, at least if they could just upgrade it to like 4,000 or 4,500, that would really be nice. Although Samsung does do a pretty good job optimizing the battery, I've noticed, and I do love my Z Flip 4. I love how compact it is. I love how I can just take it anywhere, put it in my pocket. I really love recording on this phone. The mic, I use Easy Voice Recorder Pro, which I'd love to do an app of the week for that sometime and demonstrate it, but the microphones on this thing are phenomenal, and I absolutely love it. I love my Z Flip 4, and I actually have a video on my YouTube channel of me unboxing it on the day that I got it, and yeah, it's a wonderful phone. I absolutely adore my Z Flip 4. But yeah, that is my story pretty much in a nutshell, and I hope you liked it.
Wonderful story. Now we're talking about this Z Flip 4, and so I happen to be one of those that don't necessarily care about the flip phones, but I mean, kind of reminds me of those retro days. You know, you were talking about the flip phone, but I think the one thing that I always liked about the flip phone is, say I'm on the phone with someone, you got into some heated argument or whatever, something you're not agreeing, and you just flip that thing shut and ends the call. I think that's my most favorite part of a flip phone.
Child.
And you can answer it that way by opening it, or you can set it to, which is nice.
Exactly.
Yes,
Exactly.
I do have it set that way. Exactly. I do have it set that way so that when I flip the phone open, it answers the call. So yes, I do have it set that way.
And when you flip it close, does it answer? I mean, does it end the call as well?
It does end the call. The only time it does not is if you have a headset plugged in.
Oh
Then
no,
it
yeah,
will
that's
not.
understandable. Yeah,
Then it will
but
not end the call. But if you don't have a headset plugged in, yes, it does.
so it may
That's a
still
bit
have that feature
annoying.
that I may want to get it then, because for me, it's just being able to,
Yeah.
slam that thing.
So
I'm done.
so when Warren gets in a heated argument, he's got to go, hold on, I'm so angry right now.
Yeah,
Give me a second. I need to disconnect my headphones. Okay, goodbye.
and I
then
slam it.
Yeah.
I slam it and I'm
It shouldn't
done.
make you disconnect your headphones.
No,
That's annoying.
presumably the reason it doesn't though is it lets you answer the call from the headset when the phone's folded. So
Yeah, I think so
that's
too,
why.
Yeah, and a lot of times if you are using a headset, you want
Yeah.
to close your phone and put it in your pocket and
Exactly.
keep talking. Yeah.
Yeah, and
Now
keep talking.
going back to the angle gestures, Angela, and I know it's one of those things that a lot of people kind of seem to have a problem with. It's not. I think that the problem here, or the myth here, or whatever, I had to use the word myth, but anyway, it's the fact that those gestures, those angular gestures, actually don't even have to be precise. I can almost draw like a letter C, print C, and the system is intelligent enough to translate that as me wanting to draw a line down and curving to the right, and which would activate, like, for example, the talkback menu. So the angle gestures are not as bad as they used to be. So if that was back in 2016, yeah, we've come a long way. The angle gestures are very forgiving and know one's intent. And so I don't use angle gestures a lot, but then there are times I use them for certain actions, customize them for certain things. So I do like the fact that we have the angle gestures apart from just the recently implemented tabs or four-finger tabs. Something I don't use, but I like the angle gestures for certain things. So yeah, it's just a matter of getting used to it, and I can imagine someone going to Fruitvale land, that's Apple land, for the first time from Android. It will be the very same thing. I still struggle with Apple myself. I mean, I do have it, and I pick it up for like 2 minutes and I put it aside, because whenever I go to do something, I'm thinking Android, and then it doesn't work. I'm like, oh, dumb head, you should try a different way. So, for example, I want to pull down my notifications, and I just couldn't. And I'm like, okay, I'm done.
Yeah,
So
my
I can understand where
girlfriend,
you're coming from.
she has both. She has an iPhone and she has Android. She has both, and she does the same thing. The other day, she tried to do Android commands on her iPhone, and it didn't work very
Exactly.
well.
It didn't work.
No, it wouldn't work. And that's what frustrates me, because I'm thinking Android, and I
Oh,
don't
your
have
iPad?
Android in hand. What I have is, the Apple stuff, and I'm trying to do Android. Of course, it's not going to work. And so I can see where you're coming from.
I used the Samsung voice assistant, but I used it in 2018 when I started using it, and I liked it because I didn't have to do any angle gestures or anything because I didn't like them. I know some people do, and they're great defenders. And what's great is that they've stayed for anyone who likes them. Because by 2018, and I don't know what it was like in 2016, but by 2018, you could do things like double tap to play and stop audio, or to end a call with voice assistant, even though you couldn't do that with talkback. Yeah, I don't remember having to do angle gestures with voice assistant ever, but I maybe didn't use it early enough to have that issue. So I just wondered, was it voice assistant where you had the angle gestures, or was it
I
just
think
in talkback?
Voice Assistant had them as well, but
Oh, really?
you didn't have to
Okay.
use them. It also had multi-finger gestures.
Yeah. Here's what's happening. If you had the J series did not have voice assistant. You have to have a
Oh,
higher phone, like, either the S series, to have voice assistant. But if you had a J series, that was using talkback. And so it will be the angle gestures that you're talking about. But yes, Fee, if you have a phone that has the voice assistant, then we have those talkback gestures now are based on that voice assistant. So there was no
yeah.
need of an
Yeah.
angle gesture if you didn't want to use those
Yeah, they're
with your
very.
voice
I like
assistant.
them. They're
Yeah,
very good.
actually, some
Yeah.
people still prefer them. Unfortunately, Samsung is not doing that anymore. Well, Angela, thank you so much for coming in and talking about your Android journey story, even though you are insulting my Pixel phone, but I forgive you. It was a great story.
Yes, I enjoyed it.
Frankly, we appreciate you coming on to talk with us
Yes,
today.
thank you.
And we're glad you like your Samsung phone. And spitting in the face of my Pixel is okay. I'm used to it. So don't feel bad
I'm glad
about
you
it.
hate pixels. Down with pixels.
Yeah, I agree with you. Unfortunately, I have to agree with Ed because mine just died. Both of mine just flat out died. Thanks for having us on.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for coming.
Austin, how do people get in touch with us?
For people to locate us, they can email us with their questions or feedback or comments or recording submissions to contact us at blindandroidusers.com. They can browse our website, blindandroidusers.com. Check out our YouTube channel, youtube.com/blindandroidusers. Subscribe to our mailing list, Blind Android Users, plus subscribe at groups.io. The links for Telegram and Twitter, Clubhouse will be in the show notes with all the other links. So that is it from us this week.
Well, that's it for this week. See you next week, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Later.
Bye, everyone. Thanks for listening. Thanks for listening to another clip from the Blind Android Users channel. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you're notified of every new material that we upload. Thanks again for listening to the Blind Android Users channel.